Is everyone seated first and foremost? Please sit, make tea, make vodka cranberry, make whatever your poison is, man. Hello everyone. We have a lot to talk about, but before we talk about it, I need to read a brief statement, okay? Bear with. Are we all seated? The information shared in this video is based on my personal experience and perspective. It is not intended to accuse or identify anyone directly involved in my case. Certain details have been changed or omitted to protect privacy and comply with ongoing legal proceedings. Everything I discuss is at my own truth as I experienced it. And I'm sharing this to raise awareness to help other people who may be going through similar situations. Hello, welcome back. I have been MIA. I've been in jail. I've been homeless. And lots of you, if you're not new here, you already follow me on the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. So you've kind of walked through this with me and you're like, wait, what, where? And I get it. I completely get it. So don't even look at my nails. When have you ever seen my nails like this? And this is on a good day, you know, they've been crumbling. But what I've decided to do is do it in 3 parts. We're going to talk about the marriage, my truth in my previous marriage. We're going to talk about the separation and divorce. And now we're going to talk about the arrest, the legal proceedings, as much of it I can talk about as possible. Anything that you think, she's been a bit vague or she hasn't really said that, I can't, okay? So you'll have to connect the dots until I can legally say everything. But I will say as much as I can in all 3. So welcome to part 1. I'm also, by the way, in a room in my new house, which is why it's a shithole. Apologies, but this was grabbed last minute, so I should get a wardrobe tomorrow. I should get it. I should. I've ordered a wardrobe to come tomorrow. Have to build the damn thing. Next time you see part 2, hopefully it's a little more cutesy, demure, whatever. But let me go back for anyone who's new. Hello everyone, my name's Aaliyah. I'm 29 now. I turned 29 during this chaos. I've got 2 kids. I married a Muslim when I was 19. And I asked for a divorce very soon after, but no one knew about it, right? So let me just explain everything, because people are like, was that true? Was that not true? Let me just explain the marriage, my version of my truth in the marriage. To give you all a bit of context, I was abused as a child. And I know you might be thinking, why is this relevant? But the more we're going in with this whole thing now, it's starting to feel more relevant. I was abused as a child. I never really addressed it, never really acknowledged it. Just went through my days and nights just surviving, basically. Hanging around the wrong crowd, doing things that maybe I shouldn't have. But I still worked, so I thought, I'm doing better than I thought. I always felt that I'm doing better than I thought, right? When I met my ex, I'd recently reported it to the police, the crime, simply because that escalated as well. I thought I was free and then it escalated again, so I had to go to the police at that point. I reported it to the police and I was going through police, you know, all the interviews, this, the questioning, so they can go to CPS, take it to court, all that. So they made me spiral again, I'll be honest. When I met my ex, he was so different. For me, he felt so different because he spoke well. He seemed patient. He seemed quiet. He seemed just not how I knew or what I knew or who I knew. And like, this is not me saying I was raised in the ghetto, so everyone is like that. But I didn't know any men who were like, do you like pizza? You know what I mean? They were all like, let's go out. You know what I mean? Or rah, 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 rah. A bit like me, right? Rough around the edges. And I think back then I thought that was a problem. I always thought that was a problematic thing within me. I always connected that part of my personality to my abuse, and I suppose sometimes it can be considered connected to that, but actually that's one of the most wonderful things about me now. Now I've got my own children, I look back, I'm like, no, that is you, that's who you are. So when I met my ex, I thought, wow, like I've never met anyone like this. And I'll be honest, I don't like you like that. Like I wasn't physically attracted, sexually attracted, emotionally attracted. I actually had like this teenage crush at the time, which was not really going anywhere. And I never wanted it to go anywhere then. And you might think, that's so weird, why would you not want it? But I knew it was wrong. I felt as though I was really damaged, so I just didn't want anyone to uncover my damage, right? But the more I saw my ex, we worked together. That's how I met. We worked together. The more he did things, which was like, I would go to work, there would be milkshake and my favourite chocolate on the desk, and I thought, I think this is me. Why don't I like this person? I should like this person, but this is the trauma in me not liking this person. So I started to get to know my ex as a friend whilst I still had my teenage crush and was partying and doing whatever else. And I was very honest with my ex and said, look, there's nothing here for me, romantically, sexually, emotionally, nothing. But then we continued to get to know each other, and when it became the potential of being romantic, I made the choice. I don't know why I made the choice. I ask myself every day now, why did you make that choice? Not one of them men asked you to make that choice. But because both men knew about each other, my teenage crush knew. But me and my teenage crush, when I say teenage crush, not as though we were like, we weren't friends with benefits. Like, we were genuinely teenage crushes. We'd already explored something and left it there and just stayed as friends, but still equally teenage crush. He knew about him and he knew about him. And I just felt like it was a bit muggy. I felt as though it was a bit muggy to just, I don't know, just like play them. I wasn't playing them both, but it felt as though I would be playing them both. So when it started to get a bit more serious between my ex and I, not serious, but the potential of it being a relationship, I felt as though I had to make a choice. So I made my choice. And I said to my teenage crush, me and you have gone back and forth for years, and now I've met somebody who is a really nice person. I feel as though I should give them the chance to show me the nice person they are. So I won't be speaking to you anymore because I don't want to make the other person feel uncomfortable. And then I went back and told my ex what I did, right? I was stupid. After that, it really like escalated really quickly. 1 minute, we're just getting to know each other as friends. Not friends, more than friends. 2, we now live together. Then there was like a little bit of finance involved. Well, for me, it felt like it was very heavily finance. I was moving out because I was going through the court case. I was moving out of my current home and I was getting another one. And I said to the man, my ex, you feel free to live with me. But I didn't see it like that. Just like a friend, I was genuinely thinking cheap rent. Like, you know, like I was a party girl. I thought he's really chill. I'm an outgoing person. I don't notice he's there. He don't notice I'm there. Like, who cares? Like, I just didn't care like that. He declined, but I found him at my house almost every day, eating my food. Doing everything you do in your own home, basically, in my house. And then we established a relationship. And the difference of where I feel like a lot of the lines was blurred for me was this person followed a certain religion and I followed another. One being Islam, one being Christianity. I can't sit and say I went to church every day, but I definitely was raised in Christianity and I still felt connected to Christianity, although I wasn't practicing, let's say. So some of these behaviours that were a bit like, why is that happening? Why is this? Why? Whose idea is it to suggest 10% of your salary is paid to your parents just because they're your parents? Like, maybe it's culture. I don't know. I'm not normal. I'm an abused girl. I don't know. So I found myself going along with quite a lot of stuff. At the time, it felt very willingly, but I very quickly learned it wasn't willing at all, because the second I voiced I didn't want to, or I didn't feel comfortable to, it was made very clear to me, it felt that it was a non-option. Do you understand? But in the initial stages of mine and my ex's relationship, I felt as though I was financially supporting both parties. I heard a story about this guy you probably don't know, that his entire salary went to his parents and he just got £10 a day on a cash card, and they would pay his share of his rent wherever he lived. So he only got £10 a day from Monday to Friday. So how does one survive on £50 a week? I think that guy basically survived on his girlfriend's income and salary and home and food shop and water and the rest of it. I think. I don't know if you've ever heard that story, but that's a story that feels quite relevant to mine at the minute. I'll be honest, I kind of saw the person 2-3 times a week, and the rest of the time I'm gallivanting. And when I say gallivanting, I'm going work. I had 3 jobs at the time. I'm seeing my friends. Hi, have a little food, yeah, whatever. It wasn't even sexual, because I didn't enter a physical or sexual relationship with my ex for months. Maybe 8 months. Maybe. I'm just to guess. So although I was uncomfortable or didn't really like the situation that was going on, it didn't feel it came at a cost to me. So I kind of just went along with it, right? And then more behaviours started to show themselves, but the person I was standing in front of was very calm, very collected, and it felt as though everyone who shared his DNA was really crazy, really chaotic. Like, we need this, she needs to do that, da 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 da. If you're going to stay at her house for one night, you better move there. Like, crazy stuff. But again, the person I felt was standing in front of me was very, don't worry, da 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 da. I didn't know anything other than that. We moved in together. And that was just awful. I'll be honest, it was awful, because in the beginning, I felt as though I was like a bit of a maid, a bit of a cleaner, a bit of this or that. But this person explained to me, look, it's just culture. I haven't been taught these certain things, so I'm happy to learn if you'll teach me. And I don't know why I felt as though I should give this person some teachings, but I did. I said, okay, cool, I'll teach you. Here's how you wash a dish. Here's how you lock your door without leaving your key in the door so we don't get robbed. Here's how you pay your bills on time. Here is how you respect the other person you're sharing the house with. Here's how you don't leave your dirty spoons that you take to work, that your mouth's been on, that's been in the bottom of your bag, inside my wardrobe that holds none of your things. It's just simply a disrespect and quite slobbish behaviour, in my personal opinion. You know, thought I'd teach that. So I did. Went ahead and taught that. Then, I've skipped a part. We were Islamically married. The Islamic marriage, that was done before we lived together. It was suggested by an older gentleman. And I was a bit like, wait, what? Marriage? It's been about 3 days? You know what I mean? First I was like, marriage? But the more it was told and explained to me, it was like, no, this person has a religion. And technically, like, I remember in the boyfriend-girlfriend dating stage, we experienced Ramadan as boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, you know, no kissing, no touching, no can't sleep in the same bed, And I was like, wow, this is a real commitment, man. Like, I'm not a freaky person, but it's a real commitment to not naturally touch the person. Do you know what I mean? So I'll be honest, I really struggled, but not like in a defiant way, more like you see the person you like, or you're getting to know, and they walk through the door, you want to hug them, you want to give them a kiss, right? And they're like, oh, sorry, you know what I mean? Like, oh, sorry. So I was never upset with it, but I was a bit like, oh, God, like, I would fail at this. If you gave me this job, I'd fail immediately. So when it was explained to me, it was mentioned in that context. It was also mentioned in the context of like, this person is following certain rules of a certain religion. By technicality, he's breaking those certain rules and those of his religion for you. And I was like, you're so right. This is terrible. Like, this is terrible. I've never met anybody that religious, and I don't want to say like that's now what I identify as religious, but at the time, it's what I thought was religious. So I've never met anybody who had this profound, like, it felt as though these people I was standing in front of, we need oxygen to breathe. They needed to follow the rules to breathe. That's what it felt like. And I just thought, wow, what dedicated people these are. So the more I thought about it, the more I spoke to my friends about it, I was like, it's just Islamic marriage. I'm not Muslim. I'll probably never marry another Muslim again. Not because I've got a preference, but if I do this and it don't work, it doesn't matter to me, is what I thought, right? Fuck it. Like, I shouldn't say that, but I thought, fuck it. Then everybody's happy. That's all I thought. Like, small sacrifice, whatever. Now, please, if you're not Muslim, don't marry a Muslim just because you think it doesn't matter. Because now I've kind of ripped myself off to any other Muslim. And I'm not saying I have or I should have or no other Muslim will look at me. But we'll explain later on in the story why it's just too messy to date or marry another Muslim now, in my opinion. So I thought, fuck it. This Islamic marriage, this should have been, I feel, my first red flag. It should have been my out. God tried to guide me that day. God tried to guide me. It was spoken about, planned, scheduled, spoken about for months. It was very heavily organised by the older members of the family, as apparently it's like their thing, because it's like an honour. It's your son, your daughter, whoever, that's their thing. They kind of take charge. But Aaliyah, what do you want? Aaliyah, what don't you want? I definitely don't want a big hoo-ha full of people I don't know. Because I've been to a lot of Asian weddings and there's 600 people there and the bride and groom only know 4. Do you know? I don't want any of that. I don't want this. I don't want that. I just want it to be about me and this person coming together Islamically. Wedding day happens. Islamic marriage happens. What I will say is, morning of, it was an absolute disaster in my opinion. Absolute disaster. I was left in a room for hours. And I'm not saying hours in like 1 hour, 2 hours. Hours. Because apparently the men are like the priority in this. When I finally broke out, because I was a smoker back then, but I was a secret smoker. No one knew, other than obviously my ex. And I finally broke out to have a cigarette. As soon as I lit that cigarette, I started bopping down the high road. No way in hell. Ain't no way in hell. I'm talking to myself out loud. I feel these people crazy as hell. What is happening? What is happening? And this one room that I'm putting starts getting more and more women in there. Now we've got 12 kids running around. 4 women feeding these random kids that aren't even their kids with their hands. Boom, boom, boom. This room is smaller than the room I'm in. I'm sitting there like, what is happening? Oh, you wanted to wear this colour? No, now you're going to wear this colour. Put the hijab on. What? Like, what is happening? Like, I left. I walked miles. And I literally remember standing in front of a pub. And I was thinking, I'm going to get drunk in there. Like, I did drink, of course. However, I never drank around his family. I would never go and have a drink and then go to my house if they're there or anything like that. If I was going to wherever they lived or the town or the place or wherever, I wouldn't drink. You know what I mean? I wasn't like rattling at the bottle, but if I could drink and no one was around, I would drink, right? That was my way of coping. I remember standing in front of this pub thinking, I want to get drunk in there. I want to get so drunk. And if I get drunk, I've got that shame attachment to it. And if I have that shame attachment to it, I ain't going back because I'm never going to go there drunk, even tipsy. I wouldn't even go there with a little liquor in my body. You know what I mean? And I stood in front of this and I'm getting call after call after call from all these people. And then next minute, someone shouts my name, Aaliyah. It was, who was it? A female figure that is similar to my sister. I suppose you could compare it similar to my sister. It felt as though she was the most relatable one at the time, and she voiced to me, if I'm not correct in saying, I know this is crazy, I know this is out of control, this is what feels like what my wedding was not long ago. She voiced to me that she felt her wedding was forced and arranged and against everything she wanted, and she was basically vouching for my ex, saying, I get this is out of control, but this is not who he is. This is just where he comes from. So after about 14 cigarettes in about 4 minutes, I started bopping back with her, and it did take us quite a while to get back. So I am saying that, I don't know, she's like, I promise, she was never one. I didn't feel like she was ever one to just say stuff. Like, she didn't really get along with them all like that. She was always the rebellious one, it felt like, from what I saw. She said, I've never defended your husband, but I'm telling you now, he's a really good guy. Like, this is not his chaos, this is their chaos. Went back. The wedding was a shamble. Shamble. On the wedding day, on the wedding night, after it was finished, when everyone's meant to celebrate, he looked at me, I looked at him. We both said, we have to go home. Like, we were traumatised. I felt I was traumatised. He came across as though he was just stunned for words. So here we are, scrambling, trying to get a ticket from whatever location to wherever back where we live. And at the time we lived, you know where we lived. And we're trying to get this ticket, and we finally say, okay, at the time, the location from where we're going to the other on the same day in an hour train, we were talking about $2.50 a ticket, and like, we were just kids, you know what I mean? Like 500 quid to get home. You're taking the piss. But we were going to pay it. Like, we were going to pay it. I was like, you know, I'm happy for you to book it here. Like, I'm happy for you to book it. And next minute, a father figure entered and said, no, I will take you. So that father figure drove us the whole way, 4.5, 5 hours home in silence, like utter silence. Everybody was silent. I was silent. My ex-husband was silent. The father figure was silent. I'm pretty sure we had a mother figure in the car too. Silent. We got out of the car in silence. Actually, I remember begging, please stop at a service station. At this point, it's about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We can't stop. We're almost there. I'm sure that's what it felt like. They said to me, it's 8 p.m. I'm not eating one thing. All this wedding food that you've prepared, not one of it has been offered to me, and I've been locked in a room. Like, what is happening? You better stop. I remember looking at my ex at the time, like giving him the eyes, and you better make these people stop. Like, this is crazy. This is unhinged. We stop. I get a Burger King. Stupidly, and I'll be honest, stupidly, I didn't even think, because it was still so new, so fresh, and I'm already traumatised. I go to a non-halal restaurant, buy a non-halal burger, which at the time, I don't really eat bacon like that, but at the time also had bacon on there, and I didn't know. Only when I got in the car and I saw the bacon burger, I'm like, burying it in the bag. And I'm just there nibbling on these awful chips. We get back home, and I don't even say, we don't say one word to each other. We don't say a word. Not one word. We go to sleep. I'm pretty sure he went to sleep that way. I went to sleep that way, back to back. And we slept immediately. When we woke up, both parties was crying. We were both like, what on earth? What was that? What was that? That was madness. Anyway, that was that. We're now Islamically married. And I think literally that's when we did move out together. This is separate to my previous apartment, that I felt as though he just kept coming for food. I didn't, I feel as though he kept coming there for food, but I used to make lots of prep meals. Like, you lot see me make prep meals now. I've been making them since I was a kid. I moved out when I was 15. So I know how to take care of myself. I used to buy like, you know, the clear takeaway boxes, because you can buy like, I don't know, 12 of them from B&M for like £1.50, and I would make loads of different dishes like chicken and broccoli or whatever, and I'd be like 4 of them, 4 of this, 4 of that, and just stack it in my fridge. I would go home and they'd all be gone but one, because I'm guessing someone was hungry or felt as though they needed to take them to their home, so I would be without. But anyway, we moved out. Again, a little disastrous, because I had to teach what felt as though very basic life skills to me. But then it felt as though they began to get it. They began to be conscious, considerate, or did I just go out more? I wouldn't be able to put my finger on that. But it was very much two separate lifestyles. Do you know, two separate people. I worked here, you worked there. I come and do my due diligence. I do all the food shop, the mix of the bills are paid on time. Like, obviously, I say obviously, at the time it was 50-50, but you know, anyone can give you money or send money, 50% of the money. I was the one managing all the bills and everything, because I'm not trying to get kicked out of anywhere. And then I would go home. I would have dinner with my husband. My husband would be happy for me to leave. Actually, on the days that I didn't leave or go out with my friends, it felt as though he kept reminding me that I had the option to, or it felt as though he was suggesting that I called a certain friend, which is still my best friend now, to come, to go out here, go out there, because it felt as though their preference was just to watch YouTube or whatever. And at the time, I didn't feel like, oh my God, why don't you want to spend time with me? I just thought, this is clearly an introvert and I'm an extrovert. That's what I thought, genuinely. We moved a couple times though, because every time the lease ended, I think I was just so unsettled with myself. I just thought, right, we moved into this new renovation, boom, done a year. Now there's a new renovation around the corner, and this rent's going up, so it only makes sense to go there. So we pay the exact same rent as we're paying here, and it's brand new again. You know what I mean? Bam, boom, boom, brand new everywhere. Never really cost us a penny. It's all brand new. Comes with a brand new bed, brand new mattress, everything. We did that quite a few times. But the more the marriage went on, it felt as though when we had fun, it was really fun, but it was always on someone else's schedule, is what it felt. I felt like when the other person was finished with the fun, that is it. The fun's finished. The fun is finished. And if you do any more than that, you're doing too much. You're too loud. You just, you know, this is not how normal people behave. Let me teach you how to be normal, just like me, kind of thing. So whatever. But after about a year or two, it felt as though we like steadied the waters in this marriage. We'd moved house a couple times. We were going out. Again, I would go out, but also he would go out drinking too. Like, we just didn't go out together because we had a bad experience once. I just felt as though he was quite possessive. He would easily get drunk, like easily. And when he would easily get drunk, it would be a nightmare. Like, for me, a personal nightmare. Like, a nightmare. But how do you tell someone that you can't, can you? And not until they take it too far, then you have to have a word with them in the morning. And then after that, you've got to leave it. Otherwise, you're dragging someone over hot coals, right? So I would still go out. And then this person started to go out more when I would be out and be like, oh, I'll meet you there if you're there, kind of thing. But I don't know. The going out, when I would know that this person was going to be out, I would think, oh, fuck, tell my friend that let's work backwards. You know what I mean? I don't want to see someone with their bum hanging out, throwing up everywhere, screaming, shouting, like literally belligerent at 10 o'clock. And you might be like, well, you had an alcohol problem so you could tolerate it. Maybe. But that's allegedly, by the way. I don't have an alcohol issue. But if I get in that state, I'm going home. Do you know what I mean? And it's 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, not 9 p.m, 10 o'clock. Like, chore. Anyway, that was that. The marriage steadied. We still had quite a lot of input though, by the elders, the figures. And then soon as we did get married, remember I told you about that story about that man? Where the man had to give I mean, eventually it turned to 10%, but originally it was the entire salary, and he was given £10 every day on a cash card. A cash card, if you don't know what that is, you can't even put it in a card reader. You have to go to a cash machine and take out the £10. If your account is £9.99, you ain't getting that money today. That's how it works. Then, I skipped a part. When we rented the house, it was very much frowned upon because of the value, the 50%. It was frowned upon by anyone who had an opinion for this person to pay 50%, because that 50% was slightly higher than what they were paying before in wherever they lived before. I made it very clear though, if you live with somebody as a friend or a foe or a husband, wife, you need to have access to your money, because this is not, you know, is it an IOU every 2 minutes and you pay me back when you count up the days and you just don't spend any money from Monday to Friday? You give me the £50 back? Like, what? But when we got married, it felt as though, it was a bit of a running joke at first, but I very quickly learned that it wasn't, or it didn't feel like one anyway, where this 10% of your salary, simply because you may or may not have birthed this person or contributed towards making that person to birth in the first place. Now I'm applicable. I fall under this clause too, because I'm your daughter. I'm that, right? Apparently. So then it increased. And it felt as though it was very non-optional. You know, like, you've all been young once. You've all had money one month and not had it next. You know, if you want to go on holiday, you kind of sacrifice, let's say June, July, so you can go in August, right? Like, you make small little cuts, then you've got a little top up for whatever. You know, like when you want to do that, okay, I want to travel, I want to do this. So maybe like we reduce giving all of that and just give a little bit. So maybe we can potentially go on holiday and actually live as humans, grown-ups, husband and wife. No. No. And it felt as though every time that was considered or raised to be considered, I felt as though, as a unit, but especially as a person, we were punished. But me specifically, I was shunned. Like, I can tell you that now. I can tell you, at the time I didn't realise what was happening. I was shunned. I would be ignored. I could stand in front of any of those people and I would feel like they're walking right past me and ignoring me. I could be on the phone while the other person's on the phone and they would ignore me. But as soon as I would resume, it felt as though as soon as I would resume and say, okay, well, we've been on holiday now, you pay that, you know, pay whatever, I'll pay whatever, it would resume again. Like the what felt like a parental relationship. At this time, I started to think, fuck, like, this is a fucking nightmare. Like, what am I to do? What am I to do? But it felt as though, at the time, again, I've also got some accountability to play in this, by the way. I'm a little firecracker, but a firecracker in like a, you give me something, I give it you back. Not verbally or physically, but I really stand on people challenging people's decisions. That when people make a decision for you, please feel the need to challenge it if you don't believe in it. Like, don't just go along with it. Like, and I don't think that was appreciated. So there was a couple spats, but it'd be very quickly shut down by what felt like the middleman, the one that connected us all. Like, no, you're not getting her, you're not getting them. There's a problem with English. Even though we've been speaking English for 5 years, now their English is not so great. So yeah. And then I just kind of like stepped back a little bit and said, look, I really enjoy your company. I don't know if I enjoy this company. I don't know if I enjoy this side of things. I can never understand your duty to that person, or what I feel is your duty, or what you're telling me your duty is. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop you. I don't want to contribute towards it, and I don't want to know about it. That was my stance on it. Because it felt as though, other than that, if you're not drunk, right, and I ain't involved in that, we're all right, man. Like, we're cool. We're cool. So that's what I did. And then my friend said to me, I remember something after we got married, years into the marriage. Then I was told loads of truths. So what was told to me is truths about everything. About apparently the person I'd married, apparently the entity in which I'd married into, who allegedly they actually were, and not what I'd been told. I was allegedly told that the person I just took vows with the name that I used in the vow, wasn't allegedly their real name or age. And then I find out more. I find out, this is months after, I find out that someone connected to the situation allegedly and apparently has some or similar charges to the person I just sent to jail. I'm spinning at this point. I'll be honest. I'm spinning. I'm sick in my belly. I'm sick in my belly. I call my friend. That same friend I tell you about. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning. She come to my house. I said, don't even come upstairs. Don't even come upstairs. I'm coming down. Like, I'm coming down. I get in this girl's car and we drive for about 9 hours. I think we end up in Wales. And I just had to tell her everything. I'm not a person to go and like, you know, he's really pissing me off. No matter who it is, boyfriend, husband, whatever. If I've got a bit of beef with my man, right, I can deal with it. And my friend would be saying, how is he? Oh yeah, he's fine, because he is fine. I mean, I'm not fine with him, but I ain't going to tell her that, because I just don't, unless it's a real issue, I don't tell anyone my shit. Like, I just don't. I feel like sometimes, as people, not just women, as people, we can just easily slag off this person that we've vowed to stand by. And sometimes we are just slagging them off out of anger. So I've never really said much to her. And I'm telling her, and I'm telling her all this, that I'm finding out she's flabbergasted. And she's saying like, well, are you sure it's not just a little tweaking name? Because, you know, some people who arrive from certain countries, in order to arrive in this country, they have to tweak their name and this and that, you know. I get that, right? I mean, I don't get it, but I'm trying to understand it. My opinion is you don't marry someone under one name and one age and you're not that age or that name. Because I consented to that person. I didn't consent to this. I felt violated, I'll be honest. I felt violated. That is when I wanted out of the marriage. Immediately. I didn't give two shits. I don't care what histories we have. I don't care whether you've given me a leg, lung, liver. I'm finished. Like, this is nuts. So we're all the way in Wales. I'm talking to this girl. But then she said, when she's like, oh, have you thought? I said, wait a minute. Age. And I don't even believe the new age. Because now I'm looking at you like, you ain't even that age. You look way older. I remember, apparently, allegedly, asking this specific person to do a DNA test using their tooth, because that's what they do on deceased bodies, right? And they're able to tell actual age by teeth. I begged, take your tooth and take a bit of your tooth and tell me how old you really are, because I do not believe this. Now you're telling me it's this year older, 1 year older, 2 year older. I don't believe you. Look at you. Like, so yeah, I'll be honest. Did I react? Yes. Was I angry? Yes. I've never been violent, ever, in this situation. Never. Some may argue that I should have been. I have never. I spiraled. And I'm pretty sure me and this person, we just crossed paths because we shared a tendency for months. I was finished. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to give my salam to anyone. Don't salam me, because you're doing that out of respect, because you know I have to say it back. Because you've told me that it's rude and the most worst thing you could do, even though when I give you my salam, you pick and choose when you want to acknowledge it and say, well, alaikum salam to me. You know what I'm saying? But don't drop me out, is basically what I said. Drop me out. that's kind of where it went downhill. Months and months passed by. We're still living together, but this person was always really gone, like all the time. They would get home about, it felt as though they would get home about 7, 8 o'clock every night. Like, I've already done 2 of my jobs at this point. One of them was on the weekend. So I've already done 2 shifts. And then I've just come home, had a shower, made you food. I'm leaving now. I'm going out. Like, I'm going out with my friends for dinner, for drinks, whatever. Like, I was always out. Every day out. Every day. Every single day. I said to my friend now, actually, I truly believe that if you wasn't the third wheel in my marriage, it wouldn't have lasted a day. It wouldn't have lasted 1 minute. It wouldn't have lasted 1 minute. But I want you all to know as well that it's not as though I prioritise my friend over my ex. I would go some incredible place with my friend, and I felt as though I would go home, but like, oh, it's a really cool place, we should go. It felt as though they responded to me and said, nah, not really my thing. Nah. I even passed my test in my marriage. My ex didn't have a license, I'm pretty sure. It felt as though when I met him, he told me he had a license as well. That was another thing that potentially could have been untrue, which was just not factual. But we found that out later. So I passed my test, and I passed my test basically learning to drive in my friend's car. I just did bare minimum lessons. I did enough lessons to encourage the instructor to take me, because I don't know nowadays, but back then you couldn't just get an instructor to give you 1 lesson and take you, or even just take you for a test. They wanted just to take maybe 6. I think it was 10 lessons with them before they would take you for a test. So I think I took 11, because one was like a sample session, the first one, and then a book of 10. So I did my 11 lessons with him, passed my test. I bought a brand new Audi, had it made in Germany, shipped over. It was the most prideful thing I've ever done. I was only 21 maybe when I bought this. Wait, how old was I? 21? I was 21. Had this brand new Audi shipped. I'd actually left the club. As we were driving home from the club, me and my friend in a taxi, she kept moaning to me all that week that she wanted to get a new car. I kept telling her we should look. We were driving past, taxi driver needed to stop for something. Don't know why, but he stopped, then we couldn't move, then something happened to the car. We were literally right next to a car garage. So I said, while we're here, we might as well get out, have a cigarette and have a look at these cars for her. And there was like Volkswagen there. She wanted a Golf at the time, and I saw Audi, and I always thought, whoa, Audi. So I remember looking. I went in there, still drunk, and put the deposit down for my car. And I don't know why I was delusional. I thought, I'm buying this car. I didn't have any money. I literally had, I think the deposit was about £1,000, and I think I had about £1,100 in my account, and I just gave it like, yeah, I'm going to buy it. Because they said it's getting built. It takes a few months to be built, so I thought I'll make the money by then, and I did. But when I got home and I explained to my ex at the time, I've just done this, a little crazy, but I'm excited. And like, I remember I ordered my reg. I've got a plate that says Aaliyah, which I don't use now, but I still have ownership of it. It's in my old property, but it's legally still mine. I bought that even before I passed the test. I was so excited for this car. Anyway, 10 lessons later, I passed my test. I passed my test on my lunch break in between one of my 2 jobs, by the way. And I just ran back to my work and just sat there pretending nothing ever happened because I'm late off my lunch. You know what I mean? Test is like 45 minutes, you know, half an hour. I'm like, oh, sorry, I was stuck in traffic, doctors, do all that. You know, I did that, so I had to sit there and like, not tell anyone anything, because no one takes driving test on their lunch but me, right? I get home, I like lay out my plate on the rug, I lay out my pass certificate, I lay out and like, I'm waiting for this man. I'm like, yes! Because at this point, I knew that the person didn't have a license now. I found that out. So I felt as though I did it for us. Like, it didn't feel as though we ever felt as like, oh, we want to go there, but we can't. But it just felt like, the world's our oyster now. I can take you anywhere. I laid it all out. This person just like, it felt as though they came and gave like a silent nod and just went about their day. I was like, alrighty then. It's great. And I literally passed my test about 4 days before my car was delivered from Germany. And I remember Audi kept calling saying, we need a picture of your license. And I was saying, I've lost it. Like, do you need it right now? I've been accepted for that. Do you need it right now? Well, no, but we definitely need it before you collect the car. And then when I actually gave my license, the guy was like, you're taking the piss. You just passed 4 days ago. You bought this car without no license. I said, but I've got one now, like whatever. So I get this Audi A1, black edition, TDI. The best of the best. The best of the best. It's all blacked out. It's got my plate on it because when you buy a brand new car, they don't even you can have your brand new reg or have your own. So my car was immediately assigned to my reg. So it had never been known under any reg. I thought my shit did not stink. I'm like, beep, beep, beep. Ring my ex. Where are you? Because we didn't know what day roughly it was going to be. Funnily enough, I passed my test on one of my due dates, and I collected my car on one of the days that I gave birth. So it just tells you how far away it was, right? I rang him. I'm like, where are you? I'm at Sensetainment or whatever. I'm at the cinema. Okay, boom, I'm gonna come. I drive there in this car. Like, I'm proud as I'm 21. I ain't got no money and I don't know how I just bought this car, but here we are. Woo! Like, let's go. I drive. The person's finished. I'm pretty sure they said they were finished. They were standing outside. I said, oh, jump in. I'll take you home. I can take you home. Like, no, I'll just go back with the people I came with. Well, why? I've just passed my test. I don't know how safe you are as a driver. Pretty sure we just figured out you don't have a license. That, I'll be honest, sent me. I thought, is this person my worst enemy or what? Like, it felt as though you had to be an incredible, huge hater to feel that way, no matter where I went in that first year, no matter where I drove to. Point blank, it felt as though Point Blank refused to get in my car, was happy to send me to do errands, go to this shop, go to that shop, blah, 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 unless you want me to take you from this property to go to see elders. Weren't getting in my car, refused to get in my car. That really didn't sit well with me, and it wasn't because I wanted to show off, but it was like, that must be a real bitter feeling. I personally feel like you can't even sit in my car. You can't even sit in it. And I remember saying to my friend, like, this is not for me. This is not for me, but I don't know how to get out. Like, how do you end an Islamic marriage? I've never asked, never found out. Also, how does it work? Like, but then again, I remember speaking to some of my family members and they were like, what? Like, what a nice guy. What a nice guy. Like, I'm thinking, it must be me. It must be me. They're a nice person. It must be me. So I said to my friend at the time, I'm just going to run this lease. And when the lease is over, I'm finished. Like, then it's a bit of a free reign, isn't it, to just get up and leave? It is. It's like, you know, where you going now? I'm going here. That's what I thought I would do. And at the time, I kept bumping into my teenage crush. And the reason why I'm mentioning the teenage crush is not relevant to this story, but if you are following me on the other platforms, you might be thinking, where does a teenage crush come into it? Because we're interested. So I'll mention it just because you're all following along and you've probably all seen and heard about the teenage crush recently on the other platforms. I kept bumping into my teenage crush. And I just, no. Like, he would pull me. He would, like, pull me to talk to me or whatever. And I was just like, yep, fine, thank you. It's all right. Like, I'm all right. Like, I was like that. Like, I just didn't look at men. Because from what I was told, like, women don't look at men. If you're married, especially, like, you're giving yourself available. No, I'm all right. But I constantly saw my teenage crush all the time. And I should have saw that as a sign as well. I didn't. God. But I eventually plucked up the courage to just say what I felt as though was my problem. Because this lease had like 9 months on it. So 3 months in, I'm sick. I'm sick to death. I'm like, I feel like this. This feels very siblingly to me. You know when, like, you love your sibling but you're really jealous of them? That's what it felt like. When I said that, and it was combed through, I started to see different behaviours of this person. I started to see this person potentially support me like I felt like a partner or husband should support me. Then we travelled. I'm pretty sure we travelled a little bit more. We went from going like never to once a year, maybe twice a year. So it really started to warm up the relationship. Even cause we were genuinely like looking at it like friends at this point, like genuinely friends. And when it got to the end of our lease, we'd agreed like, you know what, you don't bother me, I don't bother you. We're friends, right? But then the more, so we moved out again together as friends. I don't know why. I don't know why. I think because I had nothing, it felt as though he had nothing. We were like, this is the most we've got each other. No, I can confidently say for me, that's what it was. We had each other. And that's not from a financial perspective either. It was like, I don't like you romantically. I don't know if you like me romantically, but it feels as though this is all we have right now because everyone else is showing their ass, is what it felt like. So we moved in as friends, and I don't know why, but when we moved in as friends and we really became friends, is when the marriage really picked up. Like, it was almost like because we removed all the pressures of marriage, no one knew, but we removed all the pressures of marriage, we were really able to get to know each other like we should have in the beginning. No outside noise. This person, I think, apparently, allegedly, is shunned anyway for whatever drama went on when I stepped out. So there was no white noise. Like, we really got to know each other. And then that is when I would personally say and feel like that's when we actually fell in love. Like, it felt as though, like, even with nothing, we're surviving together. Like, wow, we're really best friends, man. And that's when the marriage, like, that's when it felt like I should have married you, you know, genuinely. So I'm pretty sure that's when we got married, like, legally. But I've always identified my marriage from the day Islamically because I truly took my role as a wife seriously. And I know some of you might be like, well, a real wife doesn't go out all the time. I was readily available to stay inside. The person, it felt as though the person didn't want me inside. They very much wanted to be by themselves. And again, I talk a lot. Well, I've been told I talk a lot. So someone who doesn't talk, I'm just annoying you. I felt as though I was annoying you. But I did take the marriage really seriously from the Islamic side of things. I almost felt, and I even said it to the person at the time, I feel like I'm taking this Islamic marriage more seriously than you. It feels like someone's just told you bought a bag of potatoes at the shop. Like, where's the changeover? Is what I was confused. But, you know, I've never done this before. I don't know. So anyway, we really got to know each other. We became real good friends. Then we kind of fell in love. Well, for me, it felt as though I was falling in love properly with the person. We lived there. We then decided, you know what? We're saving so much money now by not giving money externally out of duty. Maybe we should buy a house. Like, maybe we should buy a house, even if it's just for profit. Like, maybe we should buy a house. As soon as we mentioned the idea of buying a house, it was like all the bees came back. House. Where? How much? How much money will it make? That should have been another red flag. But I was assured, no, this is mine and your house, no matter what it is. It was meant to be a profit house. But then the house that you've just all seen me in for the last 7 years, but I know you haven't been watching me for 7 years, but you've been watching me for at least 2.5, 3 years. That is the home we bought. It wasn't my dream home. I was told, allegedly, it was my ex's dream home. I went along with it because I said, the deal was, you find your dream home, I find mine. Whoever finds theirs sooner will get it. That was stupid because now I'm like, I was never going to find mine before you because I was being way more picky. But at the time, okay, cool, affordable, brand new build, just still getting built as it was purchased. Can't lose really, right? Can't lose. That house will be the death of me. That house will be the death of me. Second, we moved into that 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. Everything I'd just experienced, it felt as though it just came back 10 times. 10 times. And now we're in a massive space. Like, it's a lot of upkeep for a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. I remember begging for the first year, let's just sell this, rent this out, go to an apartment. I can't live like this. I'm a slave. I felt as though I was a slave. Like, in between doing my 40 hours, I'm cleaning 24/7. I'm cutting grass. I'm building stuff. I'm painting walls. I'm doing electrics. I remember saying, remind me again why you wanted this home. Like, what? But then I remember speaking to my grandma, very loosely, not in an accusatory way, but I did say, like, This is it. This house has been a nightmare. And my grandma said, one thing I will tell you, at the time she was still married, because her husband passed now, but at the time he was alive. And I remember speaking to my grandma and saying, this is a living nightmare. And my grandma said, whoa, 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 whoa. She's a Jehovah's Witness. She said, whoa, 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 whoa. Never, I'm sorry, my eyes are closed, I'm getting a bit tired, but she said, whoa, 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 whoa. Never let money or property impact your marriage. Those are things that will come and go. She stopped me in my tracks, and I thought, she's a wise woman. She's been married for 50 years, 60 years. Like, let me just grow up. So I thought, you know what, Leah? You put in as much energy to this house that you have. Don't overdo it, and don't let it impact your marriage. So I did that. I wasn't doing as much as I wanted to, or I felt as though I should. But again, I shouldn't let that impact my marriage. How clean the house is, right? Every 5 seconds. And we kind of plodded along. We really plodded along. At this point, we were years into marriage. Years. We decided, I'll be told the goddamn truth, we decided, it felt as though everyone kept asking about children, because at this point we'd been married for maybe 6 years. No kids. No one spoke about kids. No one cared. Like, I always said I didn't want kids. I'm pretty sure people thought we were like low-key gay. I'm pretty sure, because they're thinking, where are these kids? Like, why aren't these two people making more kids? And when we discussed it. We'd already discussed it quite a lot throughout the marriage. I felt as though from the day I met him, I did ask him, if you were to have kids, how would you raise them? What was this? Is there certain things? And we always talked about that, you know, in that accent, in that aspect, but not in like, I want to have kids with you, but it was more like, if you had kids, what would you do? How would you call them? Would you shave their head? Would you, you know, all these kind of things. And then we were like, we moved into this house. My grandma checked me very quickly, and I thought, you know what? Other than this house, I like the person. We spoke about children, and we were like, do we just have a baby? Like, do we? I think I'd like to be a mum, but I'm petrified because of my experience in life. I don't know if I want to be a mum. It felt as though this person voiced to me they really wanted to be a dad. I said, if you really want to be a dad, and I know I can be a good mom, like, there's no reason why we shouldn't. You know, like, I mean, I don't know if this happens to most people. I don't feel like it does, but like, we literally, like, it's almost like we formally agreed. It felt as though we formally agreed, okay, let's have a baby. I'm on contraception. Let me take out my contraception. Like, this is a very much proactive choice. Took out the contraception, did what you do to make a baby, immediately regretted it, and was like, I'm going to get a pill. Like, I don't want a baby. You shouldn't laugh, but I don't want a baby. As soon as I did that, I regretted it. As soon as I took that pill, I regretted it, because I felt as though that was my history coming back in, like my self-sabotage coming back in, and I'm just running away from what I want because I feel I don't deserve it, is what I put it down to. So we waited a couple months, and we said, okay, no, we really do want a baby now. We tried for a baby. We had a baby. When this baby was born, to wrap up this story lightly, it was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I was still working 40 hours a week. At the time that I had my baby, I did get full pay for quite a long time. A very long time, actually longer than most people, well over a year. But I felt as though I was getting a bit of silent nods and nudges to say, oh, nah, I've got the pressures of looking after a household. But it just felt like what men say, even though they, you know, sometimes men are like, oh, now I've got to go home and look after the house, and they're going home to put their feet up. You know, like men just say stuff to feel manly. It felt like one of those statements. But the more it felt as though the person said it to me, the more I started feeling a bit like, oh God, and I'm sitting at home with this baby, and like, that's not fair that I get to sit at home with this baby and he doesn't. So then I started a business. So when I had this baby, I'm getting my full pay from my employer. And I'm working a business, which was incredibly successful actually. But it meant that my suppliers in China and everywhere at the other side of the world, so they would wake up at 11 p.m. and I'd talk from 11 till about 2 with them. So I'm looking after this baby. I'm working full time. I'm doing everything for this baby. I'm now talking to supplier to bring in an extra income a month. And this person's job, I think it felt as though their job started around 7 in the morning. They would leave around 10 to 7 in the morning. They would get home about 8:30 at night. The day's finish. It is finish. Like, I've done everything. I've done everything. But again, I thought that's what you do in a normal marriage. There's a masculine man. There's a woman. And even though our paychecks are saying the same figure, I'm the woman. But the more that went on, the more I kind of pulled away a bit. And I was constantly reminded, before you had this baby, you would look at me like that. Before you had this baby, you would treat me like that. But then it felt as though it started to become more of a public thing, where it was like you were trying to, it felt as though someone was trying to humiliate me by telling other people, like, I'd be there and be like, you know me, I'm live on my muctus, so like when I'm doing my baby voice, I don't do it quietly even in public. I'm like, I'm gonna, and everyone would be like, oh my god, she's bloody crazy. And then it felt as though he would say, she used to look at me like that before this baby. She used to take pictures of me when I slept before this baby. What? That's when I knew. As soon as I had a baby, I knew I'm finished. I literally said at that point, I want a divorce. I want a divorce. It's finished for me. I've had enough. But we've got this house now. Now we've got houses, now we've got finances tied together, and now we've got this, now we've got that, and now we just had a baby. We owe this baby a fair opportunity of a family and all that. So let's just behave like a family, but there's no physical connection, is what it was. I think I can say I feel as though there was no physical contact for years. 2 years, 2.5 years. And I'll be brutally honest now. I remember thinking, I fucked up so bad. Like, I've got this kid who is mixed with all these things, part me, part their father, who also now follows a certain religion, which none of these are the problem, by the way. What the problem is the odds of me finding someone else that fits as close to that criteria or similar is slim. Now I'm going to have this one boy that's like a lone sheep. If I meet Graham, Michael, Rwanda, doesn't matter who, I'm going to have this one kid that follows a certain religion, there's all these different things, and I'm going to have, let's just say, a family with somebody else, 3 more kids that are all blood connected. I thought I fucked up so bad, honestly. And I remember saying, like, I think we should just give a sibling. I think we should give a sibling. I'm pretty sure it felt as though that person was like, wait, what? I think it felt as though to me they just heard sex. And I said, no, this is it's one of those, one of them, like, that's what it felt like. Let's give this person a sibling, so no matter what happens between you and I, they're never alone. I can't stand the idea of someone being alone. And don't get me wrong, I could marry the greatest man who makes them feel like their own, but they're always going to be one against 2, 3, 4, however many kids I have. So I did. And I had another baby, and the other baby was made a one hit and run, like, believe me or not. That's what happened. That's what happened. And that was it. That's the marriage. So I get you guys have been introduced to us as a married couple, but what you actually was watching was 2 friends who figured out a way to co-parent, cohabit, if and when the cohabiting was actually happening, and it felt as though the person was actually there. And when people ask questions on that, are you husband and wife? Are you not? What do you say? No, we're not. We're this. No, we just go along with it. I will say though that when I conceived the second time, we did look at each other and say, we should try to make this work between you and I. So in the initial stages of the content, you are seeing 2 people who are married, parents trying to make it work and trying to grow a relationship. You are seeing that. That's the truth. but it very quickly dwindled. At that point, people already knew who we were. And I'm an oversharer, so I would have come straight out like this. This person is not. And also no one else knows. So it was like no harm, no foul. Do you know what I mean? No harm, no foul. And unless you're actually going to sit down and talk people through this entire thing, it just doesn't make sense. So I will reiterate, the first initial stages you saw of us, that was us really trying to do something. We were really trying to pull it together for both these kids at this point. And it felt like there was a small glimmer of hope, like a very tiny glimmer of hope. But that glimmer was very quickly put out by even worse behaviours, even more and more isolation. It felt as a parent. I was isolated. I've now got 2 kids by myself all day, still working full time, doing doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, my own appointments. I suffered a stage of chronic migraines for about 6 months, couldn't stand up, couldn't walk straight, couldn't think straight, put me on brain tumour medication, and I'm still doing it alone. I remember like almost revisiting and saying, yeah, that divorce, let's get that moving. And then after the brain tumour medication, all the rest of it, I didn't have a brain tumour, but that's what they gave me. I remember holding this baby and the other one there, and I remember I kept like fainting and stuff, and like it was, I thought this is not a life worth living. This is not a life worth living, and I don't know why, but I didn't feel like I was the problem. You know, like lots of moms are like, it's me. I'll be honest, maybe it's my ego. I was like, no, it's him. I was telling myself, it feels like it's him. And I remember crying with this baby here and this one here, saying, I can't live like this. If this is how I'm going to live, I want to die. I want to die. I've thought of a million ways of suicide right now. I began to write letters and emails to my children so they knew who I was if I was to kill myself. Like, I really did that, and this person knew I was doing that. And I said, you're going to have to stop this routine that you got. But if you just give me one more minute, if you just give me one more month, one more year, you'll not even have to work full time. I don't give a shit. Like, I can't do this. I'm one person. I'm about fucking 15 years younger than you, it fucking feels like. I'm working full time. I still have this business at this point. I'm exhausted and I feel like I'm living the life of 2 adults and not one. Please. This is just a bad day, not a bad life. We'll reconvene tomorrow. I then became fascinated with the idea of suicide. I thought of a million ways to kill myself. I thought, how would I kill myself without traumatizing this person or my children? I truly thought that. And I remember I really built myself up. I thought, I know how I'm going to do it. I know how I can't live like this. I can't live like this. I remember feeling like I was in a box, and I could have spoke to 15 people that week, 20 people. I've never felt loneliness like it in my life, and the abuse I suffered as a kid was awful, but it didn't give me that. And I remember thinking, I'm going to do it. And then, you know what happened? This person, I feel as though they started to display more behaviours of irresponsibility. And I thought, how am I going to kill myself now with this person? Like, this man, honestly, my thoughts was, this man is so selfish. I can't even kill myself because I can't trust that he can look after my kids, is what I thought, genuinely. That's when you probably saw a little change in content, because I was struggling to go along with something. I was struggling with the idea of it, and then people started to think I was going through a mental breakdown and stuff, because I'm like, where's this person that's been in these videos? I don't want to breathe the same air as this person because I feel trapped. And I remember writing an email. Allegedly, I wrote an email saying grounds for divorce, and this email is lengthy, and I've read this email now. I forgot about it until now. I'm literally pleading for my life in this email. I don't want to be this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to feel like that. Please file for a divorce. I want out. I don't care about money. I don't care about this. I just want out. I'm what am I going to do? Take the kids and run? No, I need you to agree to this so then I'm not getting the police on my back is what I'm thinking. I don't know why I thought like that. So then the divorce is very clear. It felt as though I struggled to get the person out of my bed. Even when I said I'm getting a divorce, I'm pretty sure it felt as though the person said to me, well, this is my house and my bed too, so I'm sharing the bed. No, I don't think you are. No. So once I finally ironed that out, and I was in my own bed, and they were in their own bed, allegedly, I just started living a separate life. I started living a separate life when this person started walking through the door, no matter what time, whatever. Then I did start saying, you need to start showing up more for your children. You need to leave work early, go to that. You need to, like something. When this person would walk through the door, I would walk out, and that's when my fitness journey began. The fitness was almost a mask just to get out. I would go and walk at 10 p.m. at night time, 15 miles. Just to not, like, that's what I was doing. So like, I really ironed out the separate and like, in the morning boys, yeah. Okay, it's Saturday. Like, I know you're here now because it's Saturday. Morning boys, okay, mum's got work. Even if I didn't have work, I'm going. I'm out. I would literally go drink a matcha in the park. And then after the matcha, go have a little shop. Like anything. And I would come back when my children are sleeping. But I would try and like drive around a little bit at first, like around the estate, so I could see if the light was on or not. If the light was on downstairs, I would lap round again and wait for the upstairs light to go on. Then I would go in when I know that person's not down there. Because I just thought, I don't want to be involved in it. And every 2 minutes it felt as though like, one we're cool, next minute you want to overly be my friend. It just felt like you were trying to reel me in again. And I obviously don't have much willpower because I'm going to get reeled in and I don't want to be reeled in. Like, go away is what I felt. So after a few months, it was really ironed out. We're getting a divorce. But I found the person like still doing things. It felt as though they were doing things that you do in a relationship, like putting your legs on me, leaning into me, wanting a hug every 2 seconds, like family holidays that I'm still paying for that you're coming on, financially asking me to cover certain things that are your responsibility simply for you. Like, what? This is all allegedly, by the way. So I said, look, this is this. Please go and date. I'm dating. I wasn't dating. I wasn't even dating. And I'm going to tell you some tea right now. It's not even tea, but I'm being honest. I said, I'm dating. Cool, I'm glad you're dating, as I'm pretty sure they said. I went and got ready in my makeup room, put on an outfit and said, I'm going on a date now, bye. And I drove off to nowhere. To nowhere. I didn't want to date. I wasn't interested in dating. I just thought, I have to convince this person I've moved on in whatever entity that is, because this is hell. And the more I did that, and the more I did, I did a lot of these pretend dates. I did so many pretend dates. And my friend said, you might as well go on a real date. I don't want to date. I don't want to date. And then like my friend was like, no, you really should go on a date. You don't have to. And I'm so glad she did. And not just she, they, because there was a few friends and people who said I should. I just started having fun. Like, I didn't think, oh, is this person my person? Are we going to fall in love? So the dating videos that you look at, that you probably are going to rewatch back now, or you've already seen, you probably make more sense to you now. Where I'm like, yeah, love that guy, Tom. Let's man A, man B, man C. I didn't care. Like, I wasn't looking at it in a long term, and it wasn't sexual either. It was just like, whatever. Like, it's so nice to talk to someone and leave. Do you know what I mean? That's what I felt. But I did begin to date, and that's when obviously the teenage crush entered the chat. And I didn't expect it to be what it was. But when the teenage crush entered the chat, I felt like someone had just took a backpack off my shoulders. I didn't even say anything, didn't tell the person. I just basically told them I was getting a divorce, obviously to make myself available on the market, but didn't mention kids or anything at the beginning. Didn't even mention about the divorce, didn't mention about the relationship and how it had gone. And I just thought, oh my God, you were my person all along. Whether you for a minute, a moment, a lifetime, you were the one that I should have gone with. Doesn't matter how long that's for. Like, and even now, some of you might be like, oh, don't just try and find love again. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I keep telling the teenage sweetheart, like, I'm really lucky in the sense that at the time I was 28. I've just turned 29, but I'm really lucky in the sense that I'm 28. I've done the whole kids, marriage, buy a property. I've got time to waste. And I know some people can be offended by that, but I don't mean it in an offensive way. What I mean is, I've got so many friends that didn't have kids until after 30 and they're like, oh, my body clock's running out. I've never met anyone yet. I've done all what it's meant to be. Me personally now, I don't believe in marriage. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it because when you're single and you've got your own spaces and stuff, everyone stays on their P's and Q's, man. Realistically, what is marriage? What is marriage? It's two entities, in my opinion, two entities becoming one. You become one unit. You're seen as one. You're spoken to as one. You are legally identified as one in a way, slightly. I don't want it again. I'll be honest. I don't want it again. Not unless I meet the love of my life. What a great man. He's never had marriage. He deserves that. Me, I'm not eager to do it again in any time. And I know you might think, but you didn't do it properly, so you deserve it. I'm not eager. I'm not eager at all. And I do feel like, it's a personal opinion, I feel like if I wasn't married, I wouldn't be in half this mess that I'm in right now. But that'll be part 2. But yeah, that is a start, a beginning. There's a start to an end to the actual marriage. My version of events, again, it's not to incriminate anyone, not to accuse anyone. It's me telling my truth, or what I feel is my truth from my lived experience. And then the next one, we'll talk about where it all went left. Because when I met the teenage sweetheart in June, my whole mood lifted, my body lifted. I didn't tell anyone about it. I was just happy. Like, I was just so happy to talk to someone just for talking. He wasn't asking me what it was. I wasn't asking him what it was. No sex, no kissing, just what it should be in a relationship. You know, like that. If you take out all the other little bits that make it like a sexual relationship, all the nice parts of a relationship, like how am I laughing with you? Like I've spent every day with you for the last 10 years, but I've not seen you for 10 years. Other than a few nights that I bumped into you in the club where you try and talk to me and I'd have my gaze down, which would last about a minute, maybe less. How are we talking like this? Like, what? So yeah, that happened in June. And then it went downhill from there to where I was arrested. But we'll talk about that on part 2. Okay? I love that for me. I'm really sorry it's really long, but I've really tried to cover everything and really give you all a start to finish on this entire thing, because if you look back, and I've noticed from some of my comments, a lot of people saying, oh my God, she's been dropping cookies throughout these old YouTube videos. You just have to listen carefully. Well done. Because I've almost been trying to tell you all for years. years. But that's not a you problem, it's a me problem. But yeah, that is the marriage in a whole. And that is the divorce in a whole, although I'm still not actually divorced yet. But I'll tell you all about that in part 2, because that also that contributes towards the arrest and the current conditions that I'm under and the new house that I now have to live in. So I'll see you next week on Sunday to talk about all that. I really hope this has cleared up something for you guys. I really hope it's given you way more context. And I do want you all to know, I'm not here bashing a person saying, he's this, he's that. I have also been reactive. Reactive in the sense of, absolutely not, no, rah, 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 you know, like, I've been angry. Angry in a sense, though, I want to make very clear, not physical, not abusive, but, you know, I've stood up for myself, absolutely. Could I have said it in a calmer way? Absolutely. But never abusive. Never abusive. I just want to be clear about that, because I don't know why some people think that if you can walk all over someone 20 times and then on the 21st time that someone says, wait a fucking minute, what the fuck are you doing? That then equates to abuse. Then I don't actually know the meaning of abuse, if that's what it is. But I'll see you all next week. I hope you've enjoyed this really long video. God. I will talk to you all about the rest and the rest of it after, and my experience in jail, because it wasn't my first time there. God, thank God I grew up in the ghetto.